Hello everyone. In this video I will show you how to checkmate a lone king with the king and rook only. So if you have a king and rook, the first thing you should do is to cut off the black king by doing what we call, like, you create a wall. So the white king, the white rook is cutting off the black king in that fourth rank. So maybe the black king will move to e5, then you can bring your rook to d4 where it's being supported by the white king, and now the white rook is cutting off the black king in that line and in this line. So the area black king is going to be confined in this area. So let's say the black king moves to f5. It's not possible to cut off like this because the king will just capture the rook. So you bring your king closer, then the black king comes back there to that square, and here you do a waiting move, king e3. The waiting move is to create a window so that the black king can move away. So the black king moves away to f5, and then you bring your rook to e4, cutting off that line and that line. So the space of the black king is getting smaller and smaller. So let's say the black king moves to f6. You can bring your king closer to the black king. So now the white king is cutting off that square, and that square, and that square. So then the black king can move to g6, and then you can cut off some more squares. So you've cut off that square, that square, that square. You've cut off that square, that square, that square. So the king is remaining with only 9 squares left. Then the black king may move back to f6. So what do? A lot of people make the mistake of giving a check on f5. That would be a mistake, because the black king would start moving towards this direction, that direction. So the best thing to do here is to do a waiting move with the king, and then the black king may move to g6, and then now you cut off. So slowly by slowly the space for the black king has reduced. So if the black king goes to g7, you bring your king to e5, then black king comes back to g6, you do a waiting move, king e6. Then if the black king goes to g7, excuse me, you play your rook to f6, cutting off the black king from this line and that line. So the black king now has only 4 squares left, and then black king may go to g8, after which you take your rook and put it on f7, cutting off this line, and now the black king is left with only 2 squares, g8 and h8. So maybe the king will go to h8, and then you now bring your king this way, and then king g8, you bring your king this way, and then after the king moves to h8, you can do your checkmate like that. So the difference between checkmating with king and queen and checkmating with king and rook, the difference is that a king can attack a rook, but a king cannot attack a queen. So this one it takes much longer. And you have to use both the king and the rook. Unlike the other checkmate of king and queen, where you can drive the king to the corner by just using the queen only. In this endgame, you must use both the king and rook to drive the king to the corner. That's all for now. Goodbye until next time.